Hello my royal lovelies, welcome back to the channel, and as always welcome to my home. Today we are going to be talking about the state banquet. There have been some tiaras debuted. Of course we have the new King Charles long awaited royal family order. I'm going to be showing you what's in my box, so stick around, it's going to be an exciting episode. Jewellery, my favourite topic to talk about. So let's talk about the look first of all. So unless it's escaped your notice, I am actually wearing my own replica lotus flower tiara that Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, debuted on herself. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I'm also wearing a necklace that I actually thought would come out today. Yesterday at the Japanese state banquet. It is the Japanese pearl choker, previously owned by Queen Elizabeth II, believed to be on long-term loan by Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who has worn it on several occasions. And I thought that maybe this might make a debut on a different royal lady, because obviously Catherine wasn't there. But we'll get to all of that in a moment. So this might be the only time ever you will ever see a tiara and a pearl and diamond necklace teamed with a t-shirt. The reason for that is it is absolutely sweltering in the UK today. I think it might be one of our hottest days of the year. I cannot wear a posh jacket, so do excuse the faux pas, but it's going to have to be pearls and t-shirt today. Right, I've got a whole list of things that I want to talk about. So one detail that has emerged today that wasn't available yesterday was where the Empress and Emperor are staying during their state visit. Well, they aren't staying at the palace. There is major resurfacing works still going on. It's still underway, a multi-year programme. So I don't think the guest accommodation is quite up to scratch at the moment. So they are staying in the very swanky London hotel Claridge's. So there we go. That is where they are staying. So picking up from yesterday, there was, obviously before the state banquet, there was an exhibition and a gift exchange. So the exhibition draws from the royal collection. These are items that have been gifted from Japan to the UK. The Japanese will have vice versa. They will have the same gifts given on state visits or whatever the occasion from the UK to Japan. And these have been put out on display. There were 16 items curated, including a screen, a scroll that was unravelled. So they spent a bit of time looking at all the different exhibits from the royal collection, which I'm sure they found very interesting. And, it works in a diplomatic way because, adding in that touch of culture really helps, and it shows your guests from the hosts that you are interested in them, their country, their culture, and that you have treasured the gifts that you've been given over the years. So I think that was a hit, and that happens. There's some kind of exhibition for whatever country is visiting at the time. So the gifts exchanged between the King and Queen and the Emperor and Empress have all been planned in advance so that no one is giving anybody a spectacularly ostentatious gift only to receive a picture frame or something in return. So these gifts have been carefully curated. So I've got a list of what they were. From the King to the Emperor and Empress is a signed photograph of their Majesties, the King and Queen, Charles and Camilla, in a silver frame engraved with their joint cipher. I would like that. Charles and Camilla, please send me a photograph. So from the King to the Emperor, a pair of silver and gold beakers by a British goldsmith and royal warrant holder, House of Benney. That's Benney, commissioned to feature the imperial seal and His Majesty the King's cipher. Also, now this is a bit more this is consumable. A bottle of artisanal small batch release single malt Scotch whisky from the Japanese owned Aberdeenshire distillery Glen Garlock. You know what I mean. It's Scottish. I'm sure somebody will tell me how to pronounce that. So from the Queen to the Empress, a handmade bespoke fan designed by the Worshipful Company of Fan Makers, incorporating symbols of good luck in Japan and the UK, and featuring Her Imperial Majesty's Crimson, Romana's Rose, and Her Majesty's the Queen's Cipher. The wooden fan sticks are made from fallen British plane trees that fell in St James's Park in London. So that's the gifts from the King and Queen to the Emperor and Empress. Now from the Emperor and Empress to the King and Queen. A signed photograph of their Majesties the Emperor and Empress in a silver frame with the chrysanthemum crest of the Imperial House. So like for like, picture for picture. From the Emperor to the King, a Wajima lacquerware box, and from the Empress to the Queen, a Saga Nishiki brocade handbag. And honours were exchanged between their Majesties. His Majesty the King appointed the Emperor to the most noble order of the Garter, the highest order of chivalry in the United Kingdom, and His Majesty the Emperor presented the King with the collar of the Supreme Order of the Chrysanthemum, which is the highest order in Japan. So the gifts very much kind of tied in. So now fast forward onto the state banquet, which was held yesterday evening. So the menu is often written in French. Well, it is always written in French for a state banquet. I don't know why. Perhaps because it just sounds a little bit more fancy and it's traditional. So the menu is in French, but I've got an English sort of translation as well. So I'll pop that on the screen. They had some fine fare, and they would have had some really nice wine as well. I think there is a wine list on the photo. So they ate and drank rather favourably. So I'm sure you can pause the screen there to take a look. So who was in attendance? Obviously, lots of dignitaries, politicians from the Japanese side and from the UK side were there. I saw a few people from the Order of the Garter. We saw Andrew Lloyd Webber. And then, of course, we had the royal guests as well. So the banquet room it was full. And you can see that beautiful, would you describe it as a horseshoe-shaped table? And the floral arrangements were spectacular. The former, or rather the late Queen Elizabeth II had a very good eye for detail. And the one thing that I did notice was that there was a little bit of cabling that was protruding from the flowers. So the flowers in front of the King and the Emperor conceal the microphones. And in Queen Elizabeth's day, there was no wire on display. So I saw a little bit of something that I'm sure Queen Elizabeth would have picked up on. Anyway, that beside, I have the same eye for detail. I think I'd be quite good. Anyway, just make me king now. Anyway, so you've got the horseshoe kind of shaped table so that everyone can see everyone can see the host and the main guest. You've got the kind of display at the back with all the gold plate on. It's very everything is timed to perfection. And of course, when the king finishes a course, that is when the next course comes, whether or not everyone has finished eating. So we had the speeches as well. There was some attempts at comedy. King Charles did reference Pokemon. Obviously, it's always important to reference something cultural, Pokemon originating from Japan, making reference to about his grandchildren with Pokemon. I don't really think the king knows much about Pokemon, but anyway, it's good to get in a little bit of a cultural reference there. And you could see William kind of looking on a little bit like, tumbleweed. But anyway, the king is always really, really good at speeches, and the emperor equally gave an impressive speech as well. Let's talk about the jewel. Oh no, who else was there from the royals? So of course we had the king and queen. We had the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. We had Prince William, the Prince of Wales, minus Catherine. She did not attend. I know some people were probably still holding out some hope that she might attend, but no, she did not. And of course we had the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh as well. So I want to talk about the jewellery because we had a few debuts and there's some things that are just quite interesting. Shall we start with the royal family order? So, King Charles's royal family order. Many of you have been saying, when will it come out? When will it come out? And I did think the first time that it would emerge would be at a state occasion, a state banquet being one of the most likely candidates. And last night's the Japanese state banquet did not disappoint. Now, why has it taken so long before we get one glimpse of the royal family order? It's because it is so intricate. You have to have the miniature portrait sort of designed and painted. And then there's the jewellery. It is a jewel. You know, it's surrounded by diamonds and other precious stones. It's made of gold. You know, this is not something that you can knock up in 5 minutes. It's not something you can get 3D laser printed. And at the moment, we only have seen one example. So this is going to take a long time to roll out. I'll pop pictures on the screen as I'm talking because it is stunning. And I know you'd rather look at that than me. It is really, really stunning. And it's going to take, as I said, a long time to roll out down to, you know, Catherine and the other royal ladies. So I want to talk about the details of it. So the portrait of the king was painted by Elizabeth Meek, and it was based on a photograph taken last year by Hugo Bernard. You might recognise it. I think I do. I think this is one that we have seen previously. The miniature was painted on a synthetic plastic material called polymin instead of ivory. So this is another big departure and shows the direction of travel with regards to the use of ivory, of new ivory. So obviously in the royal collection, there are many pieces of ivory. Prince William, the Prince of Wales, is vehemently against ivory. I think King Charles is too. So the artifacts in the royal collection are still going to be there. But the one thing, it's just like with the use of fur as well. So you've got the fur that has already been in the royal collection, in the royal wardrobe. But going forward, Queen Camilla is only wearing synthetic fur, and now the use of ivory has been curtailed. So I think this is a very important step forward and shows the new direction of travel. So the miniature is ringed with diamonds, 10.41 carats to be precise. All existing stones sourced from the royal collection, so they haven't had to purchase any new ones, and suspended from a pale blue silk ribbon. Now, people were wondering what colour the ribbon would be. I suggested it might be more of a kind of like a bluey purple colour, the same colour that was kind of used in the coronation, the official Buckingham Palace coronation china that was released. So I was right in terms of it was a more blue hue, but it was a much more paler view. In fact, it was in line with the same pale blue that King George V had for his ribbon, for his royal family order. So I think it's quite nice that it's kind of reusing a colour. Some people I've seen on social media saying that it's white, it's a white ribbon. It's not, it's pale blue. I think from a distance it might look a little bit of a whitish tinge, but no, it is in fact pale blue. And that was designed, the ribbon was designed by Philip Tracy, the milliner. So, press materials from Buckingham Palace note that the ribbon was made by Philip Tracy, and the colour was personally selected by Charles with a nod to the colour of the ribbon used by his great-grandfather, King George V. Royal reporters have suggested that over time we should expect to see more royal family order ribbons from the king worn by other ladies of the royal family as well. They implied that the fact that other ladies from the family didn't wear the royal family order tonight is related, as I've just said, to the time it takes to make each handcrafted piece, rather than to any sort of hierarchy in the family affection. Although I think it is notable that the king's wife, Queen Camilla, did get hers first. So, reused stones. Obviously, the royal family has many, many pieces of jewellery, and probably lots of loose stones that have been used to extend necklaces or whatever it might be. So, they are using, repurposed diamonds. I mean, it's a nice thing to have to repurpose. So I think we will see a slow and eventual rollout. Okay, we'll go back to sort of what's in my box that is relating to what we've just spoken about at the end of the video, so don't let me forget. I know you can't, it's a pre-recorded video, but I will remember. Right, the next sort of debut, if you like, actually came from Empress Masako, who debuted for the first time the Imperial Chrysanthemum Tiara. This is a gorgeous tiara. I do like the design. It wears really well on the head. I think you probably could wear it a bit more further forward, or you could wear it back on the head. So this is the first time that she has worn it. It's classed as a low-profile diamond tiara, which features one of Japan's most important floral symbols and has been cherished for generations by the Japanese imperial family. Here, Emperor Naruhito's grandmother, Empress Nagako, wears the tiara during the wedding of his parents. And I'm not quite sure when it dates back to, but it has been worn for many, many, many generations. So it was really, really nice to see that piece worn for the first time on a new empress. Right, I want to talk about the Lotus flower tiara. So obviously the one that I'm wearing today. Mine has suffered a little bit of a mishap. I have one loose diamond, so it's going to have to be sent back to the crown jeweller. No, all I need is a little bit of super glue and a pair of tweezers and I can fix it. But my hair is concealing the missing gem. So, oh no, I'm wearing a broken tiara. Anyway, oh the joys of tiara wearing. So this tiara was believed to have been on long-term loan and in the possession of Catherine when she was Duchess of Cambridge and now as Princess of Wales. She has worn it since her wedding. She sort of interchanges it between the Lover's Knot tiara, also believed to be in her possession, with this one as well. And of course, we saw the Strathmore Rose tiara on Catherine as well. So she has kind of 3 tiaras in her repertoire. Did we expect to see this tiara being worn on a different royal head? No, we did not. I think this has come as a complete surprise for most people. So to see this tiara being worn on Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, was a big major surprise, but quite a nice one. It's nice to see the jewels being worn and shared between the royal ladies. But it does pose a question to me in terms of who it was directly loaned off, because we believed that this tiara was on long-term loan to Catherine and was actually in her physical possession. So only one of 2 things could have happened. The first thing is that although it's been worn by Catherine on numerous occasions, perhaps it wasn't in her possession. Perhaps it's always resided in the royal family jewellery vaults, and then Catherine has borrowed it whenever she's needed it, and then it's been sent back once it's been worn and used. So that's one option, and then that the king loaned it out to Sophie. The other option that it could only be is that Catherine does physically have it in her possession, and that she has kind of sub-loaned it to Sophie, probably with the permission of the king as well. So it's one of 2 things, and we do not have any confirmation yet as to which one it is. But I did think that Sophie looked really good in it. I think it suited her. It's nice to see her wearing a different tiara. She had the sash of the Royal Victorian Order on. I think she looked really, really fantastic. So yes, it was a big surprise to see this tiara. Okay, I just have a little bit of updated information from last night that's just come in, so I thought I'd come back and insert this in. So we do have confirmation from the palace, from a briefing that was given, that says that the jewels were loaned to Sophie by Queen Camilla, which of course suggests that the new queen, like many consorts before her, is now in charge of the jewellery collection herself. So I'm not quite sure whether that changes who has possession of it, rather than it just says that the permission was given by the Queen rather than the King. So what I've said previously still stands. We still don't know exactly whether or not the tiara was in the possession of Catherine, and then Sophie asked the Queen permission to use it, and then Catherine might have had to have given it to Sophie for that occasion. We still don't know the finer details, but I just thought I would come back and update that. Also, with a little bit of information about this as well. So it was made in 1923 for Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. She had the tiara made by repurposing a meander and festoon necklace given to her as a wedding present by her husband, King George VI, just a few months earlier. So she obviously thought that she needed a new tiara, wanted a new style, wanted it created to her own design, and then had them altered. Later, the tiara was often worn by Elizabeth's younger daughter, Princess Margaret. It was also worn as a bridal tiara by Serena Stanhope at the start of her marriage to the then Viscount Linley. And then, of course, it has been on loan or in use of or by the Princess of Wales ever since. And then, of course, it's emerged on Sophie. We also saw the re-emergence of the Burmese ruby tiara. So Queen Camilla has worn this previously. However, it's nice to see it make a return, although it's not one of my favourite tiaras, notably because it contains rubies, and rubies are not my favourite gemstone. In fact, if I was Queen Camilla, if it was my decision, I'd be loaning out all the rubies to other royal ladies so that they weren't in my possession. But anyway, this is a kind of controversial tiara because it was formed by the dismantling of a few pieces by Queen Elizabeth II and then repurposed into a tiara, which some people like the design, some people don't. It's supposed to be like a rose floral display. Personally, it's not my favourite in design and obviously colour. I can see why it was chosen for the Japanese state banquet because of the red, sort of a nod to the Japanese flag. So I can see why that was chosen. Also, the Queen was wearing a sort of 3-drop festoon necklace that is kind of fastened by one strand of diamonds. And I think it was Queen Elizabeth II had it shortened, and I think it's been different lengths throughout its history. So yeah, it's not one of my favourites, but it is notable because it was one tiara that Queen Elizabeth had made for herself. Of course, there was a Brazilian aquamarine tiara as well, but this was one that was used. It was created by Garrard in the 1970s and used a cache of 96 rubies, which were a wedding gift from the people of Burma, hence the name the Burmese ruby tiara, as well as diamonds from the dismantled Nizam of Hyderabad tiara. Again, controversial because lots of people liked the Nizam of Hyderabad tiara design. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you prefer? Do you think that these pieces are better as the Burmese ruby tiara, or do you think it was better as the Nizam of Hyderabad tiara and then maybe the rubies could have been used for something else? The forgotten royal lady in most of these occasions is the Duchess of Gloucester, but she does have a fantastic and extensive jewellery collection, and she did not disappoint last night. So I'm going to cut to a few photos and talk about it. So she was resplendent in diamonds, pearls and sapphires from her personal collection. She wore the magnificent Cartier Indian tiara with diamonds and pearls that belonged to her late mother-in-law, Princess Alice of Gloucester. And she also used some clips that were taken from a different tiara, and she used them at the back of her outfit. And she also used some diamond brooches as buttons. So that was quite nice. I do like it when people sort of use the jewels creatively. So that was quite nice. So the tiara is perhaps the crown jewel of the Gloucester collection, made by Henry Laverbury for Cartier in the early years of the 20th century. The Art Deco jewel was inspired by traditional Indian design motifs. Diamonds, sapphires and pearls were expertly crowded into the piece's frame, and it was previously owned by Princess Marie Louise, a granddaughter of Queen Victoria, who wore it often for royal events, including the 1953 coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. When she died, she bequeathed the jewel to her godson, the present Duke of Gloucester, and it's been worn by his wife, Brigitte, the Duchess of Gloucester, for gala occasions in the decades since. And like I said, the clips were used from a different tiara and used at the back of her outfit. It's a diamond bandeau that was a wedding present to Princess Alice, presented in 1935. So I really do like the way that these jewels are being repurposed and reworn and used in today's world. So it's time to look in my box. So last year I purchased some replica royal family orders, and I do keep them in this box along with the pearl choker necklace. So these are really good replicas, but one of them is now a little bit outdated because it was very presumptuous. So this was my King Charles royal family order. Now the portrait is kind of similar and it's certainly the same design, but the colour is definitely not accurate anymore. So this was before we knew that it was going to be a pale blue. It was designed in sort of red. So this one is going to have to go back to the drawing board. I'm sure there will be a new accurate one available for purchase that I can upgrade to. So this is sort of my version of it, but the other ones are quite accurate. So this is King George VI on a pink ribbon, which I think is rather stunning. I'm sure you can see that. And then we have my replica of Queen Elizabeth II's royal family order. So there we go. So I just thought I would show you my collection. There you go. Let me know, what was your favourite jewel from the state banquet? Right, thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and of course do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.